computer. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly group discussion for Secure Threat Insights. Today is the 18th or the 19th of January, depending where you are. And Becca was just saying how the agenda is a bit sparse, and I was agreeing. And I was about to say that, you know, there's a lot of reliability issues at the back end they're working on. So we're blocking a fair amount of work. And I think the front end has also a fair bit on their plate, and it's going well. So there's not a lot of point in doing planning breakdown and getting more work in until we actually finish what we started. But in saying that, there's one agenda item that Matt put in, and he sent excuses. He wasn't able to attend. But it's getting engineers involved with customer calls. And there are three sort of angles to that. There's the product angle, the user experience angle, and the support angle. So Matt's covering the product angle. I guess, Becca, if we want to get involved with user experience, probably be talking to you.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And on the support side, I was talking to Gerardo, like if he's getting on a call with customers, put a shout out in the channel, or if an engineer is interested in participating, reach out to Gerardo and he'll keep you in mind.
I'll also relay this to our team, so you know they might think if they have any.
Much appreciated. And there's an issue that I'll actually put in here. If you do engage, we'd like to know and report on it. So. And in that issue, there are also a list of customers. So if there's a particular customer that you're interested in, you know, you can also put your name down there as a choice. So, Neil, do you wanna read Savash and yours?
I think I just reversed my. So Savash is kind of on the user feedback side. He's saying it'd be great to hear user feedback regularly, whether we attend the calls directly or not. For instance, Alexander on the team keeps posting regular weekly update of what's happening in our group channel. We could do something similar for customer feedback. Posting feedback regularly on Slack could help improve the visibility of what the customer says. That's an awesome idea, just to be informed of what's going on. And then additionally, in terms of involvement in these customer calls where available, I had a sync with Matt earlier today, and I've seen it probably work better or easier for everybody if Matt just can, when he has opportunities in front of him, he's going to meet with the customer tomorrow or next week, he can just let everyone know. And those that are available and interested could let him know, sign up for it. He was a little concerned having like 10 people offer excitement and interest in having a bunch of people bombard a meeting. So we'll probably have to instill some limits. But I think that might be a little bit easier for Matt to manage rather than us reaching out and saying, yeah, I'm interested. Because I think for the most part, most of our department is curious and would like the opportunity. So I think it just comes down to, will it work for my time of day and what's the topic? So I think he might work to just promote. He did mention he has a couple, maybe tomorrow or early next week, sessions that might be of interest. So
I've seen Nicole do this. She just say, I'm jumping on a customer call in an hour. Who's interested? She would post that on Slack.
Yep.
I'll add something that customer feedback is useful, but I think being able to see what the customer does in a typical workflow would be really valuable too. Because right now we don't really have insight into how people use the vulnerability list and the app. We just if we get feedback, we can get feedback about their specific pains, but we don't really see how they're actually using it on a daily basis. And so that might give us hints as to like what we should prioritize in terms of future work, or how we should lay out the UI depending on how much the user is scrolling or struggling to find various things that they may not necessarily voice in a concern.
That probably would be the UX angle, right? You're more likely to hear these things in a product design conversation, I would think.
Yeah, these things are always tricky when it comes to application security too, because we can't ask customers to show us like a live product and their vulnerabilities and ask to record the call. I mean, this is something that we come up against a lot. So that's why when we do any kind of testing, or if we're doing a CMS to try to graduate the maturity, Matt and I were just talking this morning about going from viable, which vulnerability management is currently in, to complete potentially later this year. We had it set for July, but pending, when the reliability stuff is going to be completed and when we'll actually be able to ship some new features that customers have been asking for. But as part of that CMS, that category maturity scorecard, to get to complete, I'll have to talk to customers and have them complete some tasks and then rate how easy it was to complete those tasks. So that's something that I'll probably use a test project for. But yeah, I mean, in terms of getting them to show us their screens is always tricky for that reason. If it's their environment.
Can we see all your secrets, and can we record it and put
Yeah.
it on YouTube?
And put it on YouTube and share it around the company. No big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a trick question. Like if they say yes,
Yes,
like, yeah, you got a thing to learn about AppSec.
You've got the second item, Becca. Do you want to go for it?
Yeah, I just wanted to, from my perspective, I kind of took over threat insights from Andy, and I know he already left a backlog of design issues. And as Matt and I are talking about when we might be able to get to that complete maturity level, just wanted to check in and see how the reliability initiative was going. I check in with him, and I think he said maybe end of Q1, but then it was like maybe end of January, because of end of Q4. So yeah, it seems like the dates are moving a little bit. So
they are. So you miss us. I like that.
Yes, I miss
it's been a long road with reliability and issues in backend, not only just performance, but also some overdue cleanup and refactors. So the current big thing is something called the UUID migration. It's an enabler to a lot of the things that we want to do. That's underway. We're hoping that it'll finish Friday, and has been a long time coming. The other reliability issue that's going on is something called the vulnerability reads. It's a performance initiative. It's basically improving the speed of the vulnerability report, and anything that reads the vulnerability. So that's underway. It was blocked a little bit by the UID. That one will probably finish next milestone. There's a couple of others that'll go in there, but the short of it is that this milestone, we're picking up the developer security training stuff. So I know the front end is already working on it. Samantha has been pairing with Dave on those issues. and the backend has already started me development. So the database and the GraphQL, basically the front end is unblocked, which is amazing. So I think we're going to start seeing a thicker agenda here on the group discussion. The pipeline will start moving again. So still a bit unclear when we'll be all freed up, but I think, you know, starting this milestone, we already have a little bit, and I'm expecting the next milestone, we might start discussing some things. Do you have an overview of what's big, what's next?
From a UX perspective, yes, it's a lot of, well, I've been working on, of course, a big one is the inline findings in the MR in the changes tab. I don't know if your team has come across that yet.
No, not yet.
But I'm happy to link to that issue in the agenda, where people can leave feedback or questions asynchronously. We're still kind of ironing out the last couple of details there with the create team. But it's coming to an end, as in terms of the MVC anyways. I think there's a lot that could be done there. But that is to, so that developers, it's kind of the shift left. It's a shift left initiative where developers can start to triage vulnerabilities that are directly related to their source code from the changes tab. So that's one thing. And then other things that we're looking at is on the vulnerability report, customization. So in terms of like grouping or how they want the data arranged, something that I'm looking at is, you know, how they want to organize this information. Do they want to view things in groups? Do they want to rearrange the columns or reduce the number of columns or change out the columns, just kind of making it a little bit more flexible. And then there's bulk actions that I've been looking at as well. So being able to bulk select all across pages. So not just that one page.
Right now you gotta do 20 at a time or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So you don't have to go page by page. What else? Bulk attach to an existing issue and bulk create an issue for multiple vulnerabilities. There's been some work that we're doing on that. And then auto resolve. I just completed designs to add a new policy to the policies page for auto resolving when no longer detected.
Very cool.
Yeah.
There's heaps.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Well, did pagination come up? Because right now we have the infinite scroll. Are we looking at pagination again?
Yes, indeedy. Matt and I met with Daniel last week and we discussed this because there's a lot of like little nuances where with the checkbox and then if this, then this, and just considering all the possible states and understanding how the back end works. Because, for example, you can't, Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't select all and then go to another page, because then it kind of breaks that select all. So just like little nuances there. There was some good collaboration last week discussing that. I don't know if you want to add anything, Daniel.
Yeah, we decided that we're gonna go with an initial implementation, just so that we can get something in front of everyone that they can look at using production data, and then it will be behind a feature flag, and from there we can then discuss how we want to handle the other features. We took a look at Google or at Gmail because it also has pagination with a bulk select feature, and some of the things that it does is, I guess what's that word? It's non-intuitive based on what you would think of doing mentally, but it makes sense from like a technical standpoint where they avoid a lot of complexity by doing it the way that they do it. So we wanted to kind of the discussion was just sort of like we're waffling between A or B. So we decided that we're just gonna do paging for now, and then we can see something in front of us, and then we can then kind of like have a better idea of what we want to do rather than just, you know, talk about it and try to make everybody agree mentally as to how it should work.
And not to full on change this group discussion into a roadmap discussion. Any news on the search bar, like having the new and improved search instead of the drop downs? I forget what we call it, but it's like the issue search. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's switching from the drop downs to basically a search bar where it's like the issues or the board where you can type in text and it will
autocomplete, and you have either fields or text search. What did you call it, Becca?
In UX, we refer to it as the filtered search component.
Filtered search component.
Okay.
Yeah, that one has eyes in other areas.
As far as I know, it's something that we know it's upcoming work, but we haven't had any time to really prioritize or discuss how it should work, because it is a fairly large refactor, and we also need to kind of discuss like how we want to implement the like which items we want to have in the drop downs and how the search could work, because it will also involve backend changes if we do allow, say, freeform searching.
Not only that, the facets will change depending on the report type. So SAST, you can look for line numbers, and container secures, you can look for image, container image. And cluster image search, you can look for a Kubernetes namespace, you know, or what happens if you mix and match. It's all very, so that'll be an interesting UX problem before it even becomes an engineering problem.
Yeah, and I think I don't remember who told me this, but we were looking into getting Elasticsearch implemented first, so that we can, you know, solve those kind of like freeform searches. So that needs to kind of land first before we can discuss, I think. But I forgot who told me that. It wasn't you, right, Thiago?
No.
Maybe it was Matt.
Well, I did get a shout from Dylan back when he was in Global Search, asking, hey, should we ingest vulnerabilities into Elastic? I'm like, yeah, but then, you know, it wasn't in anyone's priority, and we don't have it yet. So I'm curious to know if it's bubbling up again.
Okay.
But you're right.
So, the short answer is we don't have, it's not on the roadmap right now, but you did mention that it's been coming up.
Yeah, because recently in container security, we added that vulnerability report list in 2 other places. Well, we added in 1 other places under the Kubernetes. So if you go to Kubernetes, you can click a tab that shows the vulnerabilities. We've turned that off because there was a discussion saying, well, we really want to keep the single source of truth in the vulnerability report. And if the filtering is not good enough to be able to link directly to a view that shows us what we need, for now, the best approach is to just put a new tab. At least it keeps everything under the vulnerability report. And then the second place was going to come was in the container registry scanning. So if you go to the packages registry, it was going to show up. There'll probably still be some linking, you know, you can still show, hey, this image has X vulnerabilities, click here, and then you take you to the report. But yeah, I've already forgotten what the component's called, but the search bar component, functional filter.
Filtered search.
Filtered search component would be handy in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at like customized views where we would essentially enable the user to come up with their own view, their own preset filters, the source of the scans, whether it's a CI/CD scan on demand, what have you. And what I'm coming up against is that we could offer this functionality in a drawer, but then essentially, how do we show that those filters are being applied without having those filters visible at all times? So for example, one of the things that Andy had in there is detected date and what kind of date format you'd want to search by. We don't have date as a filter, so that would be another static filter that we would have to add to the top of the page. So there's a lot of things that are impacted by not having the filtered search component on the UX side of things, because I don't want to just have horizontal scroll of static filters. So it definitely poses a challenge.
I bet. With that, we don't have any other items in the agenda. Anyone else got something to bring up? All right, I'll stop the recording. I'll upload it and share it with everyone.
Actually, I have one more thing.
Oh, yes.
That I came across, and maybe this is more of a conversation for Matt, but I came across this issue to provide a way to mass delete vulnerabilities from the vulnerability list. I don't know, this issue it seems to have gone somewhat stale. The last activity from our team was 6 months ago, but I don't know if that's something that should be part of the
I know about it just because Matt had reservations about implementing this.
Okay.
And then what we ended up doing from an engineering point of view, of engineering side, was just provide a script, say, hey, run this, and you basically reset something that happens is people start playing with it, or they enable a noisy scanner like one of the SAST analyzers without tuning, and then suddenly you've got 50,000 vulnerabilities, and then you go, cool, that looks nice. Now let's start from scratch. There's no way to do that. So I think Matt is starting to turn or change his opinion in that, but I don't think we'll be prioritizing that very soon. But
Okay, cool.
Totally his call. But I know that every now and then it pops up.
Yeah.
I even bookmarked the script at this point because it came up so many times. I just go, here's the script.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool.
Is this intended to be like an actual mass delete, as in the records are deleted from the database, or is it going to be marked as deleted but still kept?
The one I'm talking about, it's actually deleting them, like reset my vulnerabilities in my project so I can start over.
Okay, so it's going to be, I just looked at the issue. It looks like it's going to be separate from the bulk actions.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, there's no action to delete. Bulk actions now just to change the state, right? Cool. That's what I know.
I'm not putting any kind of priority or severity on that. It was just a general question, and I just happened to come across it today. And
no, it's a good question. It comes up every now and then. Matt's free to prioritize it if you want. Like we pretty much have the code at this point. It would be a matter of creating a UI for it and figure out how many are you sure pop-ups we want to do before we allow them to click it.
17 should suffice.
Yeah, 17 is a good number. All right, I'll see you later, everyone. Have a nice one. Bye.